What's up, Mets fans? It's your boy CP, and welcome back to the True Mets Talk podcast. I'm finally back from vacation for a couple more days before I head on another trip. So I'll be doing my best to provide you all Mets content and just MLB hot stove content from now until then. We have a couple of signings that we saw around the league that we'll be talking about, and some minor Mets reports, nothing concrete yet. I understand it's been an underwhelming season, but let's talk about it. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, bottom right-hand corner as you're watching this video. Hit that thumbs up as well and comment your own thoughts and opinions. I want to hear what you all have to say, and I will respond with my own thoughts and opinions. Nothing better in terms of supporting the stream and supporting the podcast than hitting that thumbs up and subscribe button. I thoroughly appreciate it if you have already. Make sure you follow me on all my social media handles, whether it's X, Instagram, or YouTube. I am at CPNYSPORTS all around. That's where you can find me. Without further ado, let's talk about some Mets baseball and some baseball news around the
shallow right field. Stumbling start for Stewart. He comes up and crossed to deep left field by Alvarez, and that's going to win 4 straight games for the second time in his. He's home.
All right, so before we get into some of the Mets reports, it's important to sort of note who is off the market in terms of free agency before we get into those reports, because they do have a direct effect on the New York Mets. Obviously, you can see some of the signings we have on the board here that we saw from yesterday, December 12th. I am recording this on December 13th, and I will release it today on December 13th. So Rowdy Tellez signed a one-year deal worth $3.2 million with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Obviously, Rowdy Tellez wasn't really linked with the Mets. And I mean, I was pretty much, it is what it is. It's a prove-it-year deal for Rowdy Tellez. The Mets were never interested. I don't think that this was the right fit in terms of the DH spot for the New York Mets, and it really had nothing to do with the New York Mets. I just want to give my due diligence here in terms of this signing and talk about it a little bit. It's a prove-it-year deal for Rowdy Tellez. 2022, he had 35 home runs, even though he hit below 220. And 2023 was an absolutely abysmal year for him all around as well. 7 home runs to go along with a 215 batting average. This is a typical prove-it deal with the Pittsburgh Pirates. I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope that he lights it up in Pittsburgh and gets himself a payday next offseason. So like I said, Rowdy Tellez to the Pirates on a one-year deal. Nothing to do with the New York Mets, but these next two signings had everything to do with the New York Mets in terms of the needs that they were looking and still are looking to directly fill. Young-Hoo Lee signs with the San Francisco Giants for 6 years, $113 million for the versatile left-handed hitting outfielder coming over from the KBO. Now, the Mets were directly interested, and there was a lot of reports swirling around that the Mets and Padres both were interested in the services of Young-Hoo Lee coming over from the KBO. Obviously, I made a video on my channel before about Young-Hoo Lee and the potential fit for the New York Mets. Make sure you go back and watch that video if you want any further context about who Young-Hoo Lee is. Obviously, a high average hitter, not so much a power hitter, but plays a very versatile outfield. Versatile in the defensive category, plays all 3 outfield positions, and the San Francisco Giants finally land their premier bat that they've been looking to fill. The power doesn't play at Oracle Park over there in San Francisco, but with as large as a park that is, you have Triples Alley over there. Young-Hoo Lee, I think, can really thrive over there. There was a lot of talk about Young-Hoo Lee's metrics against fastballs 93 miles per hour or greater, hitting below 250 in that category. Even below 230, but I really do think he's going to be okay. I think he's going to adjust, and his swing is one that is set up for adjustment for the major league sort of talent and the major league pitching with those higher velocities than what he's seen in the KBO. So his market was valued to be around 5 years, closer to the $75-80 million range. So it shows you how these teams, especially how the San Francisco Giants, are valuing this free agency market in terms of the bats. We already saw Shohei Ohtani go above market value for what he was supposed to get. Everybody was speculating between $500 and $600 million, and he ended up getting $700 million even with the deferred payments, he's still going to get that total of $700 million from the Los Angeles Dodgers. And you see here, Young-Hoo Lee signing for way above his market value, 6 years, $113 million, close to a $19 million AAV for the versatile outfielder. Like I said, the Mets are out of the running for Young-Hoo Lee, but there is still some other outfield options. We'll talk about that in the next slide. But like I said, the Giants land their bat. And then Seth Lugo, former Met, you can see on this graphic here, is heading to the Kansas City Royals. The Kansas City Royals are also seem to have a little hole burning in their pockets. Reports are saying that they're not even close to being done after this Seth Lugo deal. He signs for exactly what I thought his market was going to be. If you don't follow me on X, I pretty much predicted this 5 days ago that he was going to get this exact deal, 3 years, $45 million. I do think there is a player option here. I predicted there would be a team option after the second year, but I believe it's a player option for Seth Lugo to opt out after year 2 in Kansas City. But nonetheless, Seth Lugo in his first season starting for the San Diego Padres obviously was a bullpen piece for the 2022 New York Mets. Transferred over as a starter, credited the pitching coach, the coaching staff over there in San Diego for pretty much expanding his repertoire and his capabilities as a starting pitcher in this league. And he gets the deal to sort of reward his success over there in 2023 with San Diego. Pitched about 145 innings for the Padres and posted about, I think it was a 3.57 ERA for them. A phenomenal option as your second or third man in that rotation if you're the Kansas City Royals. So congrats to them. These three all got deals yesterday. There were some other tier B kind of deals being floated around the league yesterday, but these were the headliners from around the league. Now let's get into some Mets rumors and reports swirling around, nothing concrete, but here are your updates as of today, December 13th, 2023. From Andy Martino, the man himself. I'm going to reserve further judgments on Andy Martino, but we all know the little favoritism he likes to display for one side of the New York teams compared to the other. But that's neither here nor there. We'll let that slide. He has done his due diligence over the last 2 days, even doubling up today, basically saying that Yamamoto is a serious contender for the New York Mets, or vice versa. The Mets are a serious contender for Yoshinobu Yamamoto because they're the ones giving out the contract, obviously. And they're considered to be a top 3 candidate as of right now for Yoshinobu Yamamoto. They should not come to anybody's surprise. A lot of people speculating whether Yoshinobu Yamamoto would pass up money for a better fit in maybe perhaps a Dodger uniform, or whether he'd take the highest AAV, which I'm positive Steve Cohen is going to offer this 25-year-old right-handed phenom coming over from Japan. Now, like I said, Andy Martino in his quotes saying that the Mets went from quote-unquote underdogs in the Yoshinobu Yamamoto sweepstakes to now a serious contender is a load of baloney. They were never underdogs. If you have Steve Cohen as your owner, you are never going to be an underdog, no matter how bad the team situation may be, which the Mets aren't even really in a bad situation. Let's call it for what it is. Or no matter how in flux your team is with injury news or the roster and how it shakes out at that current moment, etc. These are free agents at the end of the day. This is going to be his first contract and his only contract for the foreseeable future, presumably signing a long-term deal. So it's hard for me to sort of speculate now. Like I said, I'm not his agent. I'm not in his camp. Nobody really knows, and nobody really has insider knowledge outside of Yoshinobu Yamamoto himself and his camp about what he's really looking for. But it's hard to imagine if Steve Cohen blows him away with an offer well north of $300 million, which is a presumed market for him, that he's going to pass that up. So Andy Martino today doubling down that the Mets are a serious contender for Yamamoto. There was some quote unquote a top 3. The other teams I would presume are the Yankees and Dodgers. But like I said in yesterday's video that I dropped, and if you did not pay attention to that video, didn't tune in, it's okay. I'll drop that in the description. Make sure you go ahead and check that out. I basically touched on the Yamamoto piece, and I'm just kind of doubling down on that with the new reports that I heard from yesterday to today, that he also has meetings coming up. I think he met with the Dodgers yesterday officially, and he has meetings coming up with the Blue Jays and Red Sox. So all these big market teams and then some are in on Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and this market is very saturated, and a lot of teams are going to come up disappointed in these sweepstakes. Let's just hope it's not the New York Mets, and I think they're in a very good position to put themselves in a premier spot to land Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So I know this is a rinse and repeat of basically what I said yesterday and in my previous pitching rotation discussion surrounding the New York Mets in my videos, but the reports have been slow. I mean, people are speculating he's going to make a decision before Christmas time. So up until then, we're basically going to be hearing the same reports, which is what I'll be echoing here to you all as well, in case you have not seen them. Secondly, which is very interesting in light of the unfortunate Ronnie Mauricio injury. Ronnie Mauricio, like I said in my video yesterday, officially diagnosed with a torn ACL, will require surgery on that knee that he injured in the Dominican Winter League, attempting to steal a base, kind of hyperextended it. I was hoping for a sprain, but it is more than that, and he will miss the entire 2024 season. Was slated to compete with Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty for that third base spot, and now there are reports saying that although the Mets are not potentially going to sign an everyday third baseman to fill the void of the Mauricio loss, they will go and try to at least address this position in terms of providing some competition or some flexibility at the third base spot. And one of the names that came up, I know he didn't play a whole lot of third base last season for the Boston Red Sox, is the man on your screen, former Met and former Dodger, Justin Turner. Played in 146 games for the Boston Red Sox last year, hit 276 with 23 home runs. Definitely still has what it takes to be an everyday DH guy for the New York Mets if they choose to fill that position with Justin Turner as their premier target. Now, Justin Turner's getting up there in age. We all know that. That's why I seriously doubt that Justin Turner, if he signed to the New York Mets, will be taking over the third base position. If Brett Beatty needs a day off, or Mark Vientos, if they choose to deploy Mark Vientos at third base, needs a day off, so be it. Justin Turner can definitely fill in for a couple games there. But he's more of a DH, man. His legs are not there anymore. He is versatile. He did appear in some games at second base for the Boston Red Sox as well. But the way it's currently shaking out, if they sign Justin Turner, it's strictly going to be for his bat in that DH spot. And they'll have to figure out some internal workings for third base and second base. The revolving door of Mark Vientos, Brett Beatty, Jeff McNeil. And I'm not predicting it to happen, but stranger things have happened where probably not by opening day, but maybe a little bit after. Maybe they rush up a guy like Luis Angel Acuna or Jet Williams, depending on how they start the season off, in AA or AAA, wherever they're going to be at. That is also not off the table whatsoever, especially if the Mets do not fill these voids this offseason, and especially if there's going to be any sort of injuries happening, you can bet your bottom dollar that those guys in the farm system are going to have to come up sooner rather than later. Now, the Mets do have depth pieces to call up that are not Luis Angel Acuna and are not Jet Williams. Their names are Joey Wendell, who we saw signed already this offseason to a one-year deal, and Jose Iglesias, the guy coming over, the journeyman, who has had a pretty decent career as a journeyman. I will say, had a great 2022 for the Colorado Rockies. I mentioned him in one of my videos as well when I was going over the Joey Wendell and Jose Iglesias signing. Check that out on my channel if you haven't. But those guys, those vets, are probably going to be the first in line to get called up if any injuries were to happen. And like I said, this is the New York Mets that we're talking about. It really is unfortunate to be talking about injuries this early into the offseason, even before spring training happens. We saw it last year with Edwin Diaz. We see it this year with Ronnie Mauricio. Injuries just seem to be a theme And it's not only for the New York Mets, but it just seems like I'm conditioned as a Mets fan to expect the worst in terms of the injury front. But like I said, the Mets have put themselves in a position this offseason to have that depth if the worst case scenario presents itself. So keep an eye out on a potential role and fit and signing for a guy like Justin Turner. Another guy who's not mentioned in here is JD Martinez, also very capable of a DH sort of role. Oh, I didn't mention Justin Turner also plays some first base, and he did play that for the Boston Red Sox last season. So, a very versatile infielder, really, you're getting along with the DH and Justin Turner. So another name to look out for is JD Martinez, but I think JD Martinez's market is a little bit more competitive than Justin Turner's market is right now. But it remains to be seen. And finally, here before I wrap things up, the Mets are still in talks with Michael A. Taylor for that fourth outfield spot. Now, even if you sign Michael A. Taylor, the starting left field everyday left field position and hole is still there. Michael A. Taylor does not fit the bill to be playing every single day for the 2024 New York Mets if they are serious in competing. I understand he hit for 20 plus home runs. I made an entire video about Michael A. Taylor on my channel. All these guys, pretty much in these Mets reports as of recent, I've already made videos on. So I'm just providing some updated context. If you're new to this channel, make sure you go check out all my other videos if you need some more backfiller context. But like I said, he's a strict fourth outfielder, will provide immediate competition with DJ Stewart for that role. But that left field position, if Jeff McNeil is going to be going back and he's not going anywhere in the offseason, if he's going to be playing second base up the middle with Lindor, that left field position still needs to be addressed, even if you do sign Michael A. Taylor. And Young Hoo Lee is not an option anymore. So you got to think about the other options. You got Teoscar Hernandez out there. I know Jorge Soler is more of an everyday DH because his outfield really isn't great, but he is also still an option. I'm not going to talk about the trade market, but you can explore some potential trades. I know there's some rumors heating up about Manuel Margot and Tyler Glasnow in a potential Dodgers deal, but Margot also was linked to the Mets earlier on, very early on to this offseason. So stranger things have happened, but like I said, even with the potential Michael A. Taylor signing, the Mets still have that left field hole to figure out if they are going to be slotting Jeff McNeil in at second base. Like I said, we have had a very quiet offseason, and I understand Mets fans' frustrations. I understand the anger because it was the topic of conversation surrounding the goal for 2024 surrounding the New York Mets was very highly speculated ever since Max Scherzer came out with those comments in season after he was traded about what the front office told him the 2024 plans were. The whole tune, the tune that I've been singing this entire offseason is that the Mets cannot afford, with the money that they have invested in this payroll already, and with the long-term contracts that they've already invested in players like Nimmo, Lindor, Diaz, and Pete Alonso looming, they cannot afford to waste a year and call 2024 a bridge year, regardless of these prospects coming up potentially in 2025. I don't think it's smart to do that, and I don't think it's the best bang for Steve Cohen's buck to do that, given the situation of this current roster and the payroll that is currently presenting itself. The Mets are at what? 250 to 270. I think it's north of $270 million right now that the payroll is already invested in. I just can't see them not filling in these holes in an efficient manner to make the Mets competitive in 2024, and foregoing sort of that bridge year rumor that's going around. But like I said, we never know. You never know what's going to happen. But I think that the Mets really do have to put all their cards in on Yamamoto. Now, whether they pivot before Yamamoto makes his decision to a Shota Imanaga, to a Jordan Montgomery, there are some Blake Snell whisperings. I know he has a qualified offer attached to him, which would mean the Mets have to give up some draft compensation if they were to sign Blake Snell. And I know that Blake Snell is not a popular target for the New York Mets fan base in general, but there were some whisperings. So keep an eye on that market. But regardless of the situation with Yamamoto and how serious of contenders the Mets are, you have to sort of start pivoting to another pitcher, because the Mets just have two immediate holes in the starting rotation that they need to fill even before Yamamoto signed. So, like I said, this is a revolving merry-go-round. The Mets have been quiet. They haven't really done themselves any justice in terms of filling in some immediate holes, and the market is starting to shrink. It's starting to sort of formulate now. And I still think that domino in Yoshinobu Yamamoto has to fall before we see a guy like Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery signed. But I think Shota Imanaga understands what his market is. And if you can target Imanaga and get him in the door before you wait on Yamamoto's decision, you have a lot more flexibility if you're the New York Mets. So hopefully everything I've been saying and ranting about in this video makes sense to you all. Just wanted to provide my league updates in terms of the signings that we saw around the league happening in this slide right here with these three guys signing to those respective teams. Tellez to the Pirates, Lee to the Giants, and Lugo to the Royals, as well as some of the whisperings that we're now starting to hear from Andy Martino and other beat reporters around the league surrounding the New York Mets. So, like I said, I appreciate everyone tuning in to the True Mets Talk podcast. This was a comprehensive update. I've been on vacation the last week. I was able to put out a couple of videos, but not my regular scheduled programming. So I appreciate the patience on that front. I definitely want to hear what you all, the viewers, have to say about this. Anything that I talked about, whether you're pissed off the Mets didn't sign Seth Lugo or go after Young-Hoo Lee, let me know in the comments. Or if you still think this offseason is salvageable, which I highly think that it is. This offseason is by no means lost for the New York Mets with what's still out there and available to them. Let me know in the comment section as well, especially surrounding these rumors right here on your screen on this slide. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe. Bottom right hand corner as you're watching this, as I'm saying this into the microphone, hover over my icon and subscribe to the channel for more content. You can take a look back at my channel and decide for yourself. I've been putting out regular content and I will continue to do so. Hit that thumbs up regardless. I support the stream. I highly appreciate any thumbs ups and comment your thoughts and opinions. Like I said, to all the subscribers who have subscribed to the channel already and are part of my regular listeners, I thoroughly appreciate the support. Like I said, this is very fun to do, and the interactions and the engagements and hearing what you all have to think regarding anything that I'm saying or anything that we're hearing as Mets fans collectively is such a fun thing to do on this podcast. So make sure you're following me on all my social media handles as well for some further sort of opinions out of me and for updates regarding this podcast over here. Turn on your notifications, to get notified when I go live, either on the Mets Roundtable, the Interstate Mets Report, which a show is coming up with a very special guest on Friday for the the Interstate Mets Report, I'm fumbling my words now. That's probably a sign for me to get off this podcast. But special guest on the Interstate Mets Report on Friday. He is a heavy player in the Mets content game, is a very large presence in the Mets Twitter community. So make sure you go ahead and check out and stay tuned for Friday's Interstate Mets show. Like I said, I'm going to stop rambling here. Thank you all for the support. Let's continue to monitor everything the Mets are doing and the reports that are coming out. We are officially on Yoshinobu Yamamoto watch with the Mets officially, to Andy Martino's reporting, being a top contender for Yamamoto. We'll see what happens on that front. As I mentioned, let's go Mets, and I'll see you all on the next video. Peace. Thank you for watching the latest episode of the CP New York Sports Pod. If you enjoyed this content, make sure you hit that thumbs up, comment your thoughts and opinions, and use the lower right-hand button of this video to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.